The NFL playoffs are finally here, and honestly, this might be the most wide open postseason we've seen in years. Every year, there's usually one or two teams that feel like the clear favorites, but this season, it feels like 4 to 5 teams in each conference have a real shot to make a run. In this video, I'll be previewing the entire playoff picture and breaking down why there are so many teams with the real chance to win the Super Bowl. Let's start this video off with the NFC, where every single team has solid strengths but glaring weaknesses. Coming off a huge Week 18 win to secure the 1 seed, most people believe that the Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the conference. But can this team actually be trusted in the playoffs? The defense has been solid but faulty at times against great offenses. But the Seahawks themselves have an electric offense. Sam Darnold has had a great season, but he still has a turnover-heavy game every few weeks. In the regular season, you can live with that. But in the playoffs, one game like that can end your season immediately. Their receiving attack also relies heavily on Jackson Smith-Njigba, who deserves a ton of credit for carrying this passing game. But the Seahawks are going to need some other guys to step up if they want to beat some of the best defenses in the conference. That said though, when Sam Darnold is in rhythm, this Seahawks offense is electric and honestly, one of the scariest units in the entire NFL. We know how great the Seahawks offense can be, but in my opinion, the best offense in the NFC is still the Los Angeles Rams. With Davante Adams back, their red zone issues should be fixed, and I still trust Matthew Stafford to protect the football when it matters most, even with the turnover issues down the stretch of the season. However, their late game struggles are concerning. They couldn't come up with a play on their final drive against Atlanta, somehow lost to Seattle a few weeks ago, and we still haven't forgot about their collapse against the Eagles earlier in the season. It feels like the reason for these late game collapses for the Rams is that they're so used to blowing out teams, and that's what they did all year long. So it seems like they just weren't ready for the close games. But in my opinion, these losses were good for the Rams. If they're able to simply learn from their mistakes and finish close games, they can beat just about anyone, as that's really their only glaring weakness right now. Another one of those close losses for the Rams came against the Panthers earlier in the season, who play the Rams in the wildcard round. This is a huge opportunity for Bryce Young to prove that he's a franchise quarterback, but I just don't see them matching up well with the Rams in this environment like they did earlier in the season. To me, they're by far the worst playoff team, not just in the conference, but in the entire NFL. But honestly, it's good for them to get this experience, especially with Bryce Young so early into his career. But another inexperienced team who I have way more faith in is the Chicago Bears. Chicago simply has to start games off better. They always seem to rely on fourth quarter magic from Caleb Williams, and while they have the talent on both sides of the ball, that's a dangerous way to live in the playoffs. The Bears are a team that feeds off momentum. When they're hot, they are scary. But when they're cold, it takes them a while to break out of that dry spell. This reminds me of teams like the Eagles this year, but I believe in the Eagles just a little bit more, as they don't rely as much on late game heroics. And if we see the Bears team we saw against Detroit for 3 quarters last week, they're definitely in some trouble. But once again, if this team's able to catch fire at the right time, anything is possible. And on the topic of the Philadelphia Eagles, they're pretty polarizing right now. We saw them catch fire at the right time last year, and there were flashes of that this season as well, but I just don't think it happens again. I'm lower on this team than a lot of people are because they've been so inconsistent. They face a banged up 49ers defense in the wildcard round, but I still don't fully trust this offense to put up a lot of points. But even with all that being said, we've all seen how dangerous this team can look when everything clicks. And they have playmakers on both sides of the ball who can step up in big moments, so I can't completely count out the Eagles. As for the 49ers, they've been incredible all year, and I just wish they were healthy right now. Brock Purdy being asked to carry the offense in a playoff environment is something I don't fully trust. Sure, if Christian McCaffrey gets going and Purdy executes like we know he can at times, this team can surprise some people. And with Kyle Shanahan calling plays, there's always a chance. But with this defense being as banged up as it is, I just don't think they can put together consecutive complete games on both sides of the ball. And the final team in the NFC is the 7 seed Green Bay Packers, who are in a similar spot to the Niners as well, in the sense that they've been banged up for the latter stretch of the season. Their offense isn't consistent enough, and I don't trust their defense to slow down the best quarterbacks in this conference, especially someone like Caleb Williams, who they face in the wildcard round. Early in the season, I thought this team would be dangerous come January, but they just don't have any momentum, and the team isn't peaking at the right time. But that's the NFC, and overall in this conference, I think the Rams and Seahawks are the most likely teams to overcome their flaws and make a deep run. But a fully dialed in Bears or Eagles team would still be a scary matchup for anyone. But switching over to the AFC, this conference is even more interesting and competitive than the NFC. At the top of the conference are the Denver Broncos, who've basically followed the same formula as their Super Bowl team from a decade ago. An elite defense and an average offense that makes the big plays when they need it. And in my opinion, this is exactly what makes them scary. It's their ability to create timely big plays on both sides of the ball, but especially defensively. I trust Bo Nix to take care of the football, and even if the offense can't sustain long drives, that might not matter with a defense this good. I do worry about matchups against balanced teams like New England, Jacksonville, or Buffalo, but if Denver can generate a few big plays, they can certainly make a deep run because that defense will keep them in just about every single game. The biggest threats to Denver, in my opinion, come from the AFC East with Buffalo and New England. Starting with the Bills, they have the running back, quarterback, and play caller to attack great defenses. But we all know that the Bills' issues stem from their lack of true separators at wide receiver. Josh Allen will need to play Superman for 4 straight games in order for this team to win it all. We've seen him do it for 1 or 2 games at a time, but he'll need some help to make it all the way. But the team I actually trust the most in the AFC is the New England Patriots. They're well-rounded, but inexperienced. They have a good enough defense and balanced offense. The only thing that could hurt them is the lack of elite playmakers at wide receiver, which could hurt them against teams like Denver that play a lot of man coverage. But with a solid defense and Drake May at the helm, I think this offense can compete with anyone. In the wildcard round, the Patriots will have to go against the Chargers, and this game could be closer than some people expect. I don't think the Chargers will make a deep run, but if they control time of possession like Jim Harbaugh loves to do, they could give New England some trouble. Still, with their offensive line injuries and lack of consistent run game, this is a long shot to me, even if we see a fully healthy Justin Herbert. We haven't quite seen Herbert take over a playoff game yet, but honestly, he's going to have to do that this year for them to have any chance of winning. But let's move on to the Houston Texans, who remind me a lot of Denver in terms of having a great defense and just an average offense, but I trust this offense just a little bit more. I trust CJ Stroud more than Bo Nix in the playoffs, especially with the weapons he has, but I do like Denver's defense just a little bit more. Houston should handle Pittsburgh in the first round, but if they want a deep run, they'll need to force turnovers and create big plays every single week, as they haven't proven that they have a consistent offense. But obviously, they won't be able to rely on their defense alone, and CJ Stroud is going to have to come up big when they need him. But with this team being as well-rounded as it is, I do think the Texans have a chance at making a deep run. The Steelers deserve credit for getting here, and Week 18 was truly insane, but I just don't trust them in a playoff environment. Unless Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf have special games week in and week out, I just don't see them competing in this loaded AFC. The final wildcard team, which we haven't talked about yet, is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are arguably the most interesting team left. They might be the most balanced team in the entire league with a solid defense, efficient offense, and Trevor Lawrence coming off the best 2-month stretch of his entire career. The problem is they aren't elite at anything like some of the other contenders. Denver and Houston have the defense. New England has the MVP at quarterback. Buffalo has Josh Allen and the great run game. But Jacksonville is just solid everywhere. Overall, Jacksonville has fewer glaring flaws, but no overwhelming strength. And we'll see if this is going to be their strength come playoff time, or if it's going to be their downfall. But that was my full playoff preview. We looked at every single team in the postseason and broke down who I trust to make a Super Bowl run. In the next video, I'll be making my full playoff predictions, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see that in a few days. Let me know in the comments which team you trust the most in these playoffs as well. And definitely let me know if you disagree with any of the takes I made in this video. But that's going to do it for this one, and I'll see you all in the next video.